My life is free from religion. It's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing.
It is positive in what way? Tell me.
Because I don't believe in any supernatural deity, particularly a male supernatural deity that is authoritarian and telling us what to do. And if you don't do what he says, you go to hell, for example. That's a very negative, thought-controlling kind of...
Might you believe in a female one, though?
Well, I don't. There certainly is a goddess movement afloat, but I think it's more feminism than it is religion. But it doesn't appeal to me.
So you believe that you have total control over your life and you're responsible for what happens to you and there is nothing else?
Well, of course people don't have total control of their life. I believe there's no supernatural control over my life.
How do you propose you got here?
I got here the same way everyone else got here. I think it has a lot more to do with women going through labor than it has anything to do with a male god. I'm for equality of the sexes, and I'm pointing out that probably the most patriarchal, sexist institution in the world is organized religion. So I'm opposed to sexism.
For millennia, the great theologians and prophets of our religions have set to work on the riddle of womanhood. And the result in various times and places has been widow burning and honor killing and genital mutilation, a cultic obsession with virginity, just other forms of physical and psychological abuse so kaleidoscopic in variety as to scarcely admit of being summarized. Now, I have no doubt that much of this sexist evil predates religion and can be ascribed to our biology, but there's no question that religion promulgates and renders sacrosanct attitudes toward women that would be unseemly in a brachiating ape. Now, while man was made in the image of God, woman was made in the image of man, according to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Her humanity, therefore, is derivative. It's ersatz. The Old Testament values the life of a woman at 1/2 to 2/3 that of a man. The Quran says that the testimony of 2 women is required to offset the testimony of 1 man. And every woman is deserving of 1/2 her brother's share of inheritance. But the biblical God has made it perfectly clear that women are expected to live in absolute subjugation to their fathers until the moment they are pressed into connubial service to their husbands. And the New Testament offers no relief. I mean, St. Paul put it in his letter to the Ephesians, "Wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. As the church is subject to Christ, so let wives be subject to their husbands in all things." The Quran delivers the same message, and on most translations says that disobedient wives should be whipped or scourged or beaten.
I do have an objection, or at least feel that women should think about their belief in a patriarchal male deity and the idea that men in the church can tell women what to do because God is male and that the Pope has to always be male because Jesus was male. We're dealing with a real sexist institution. Yeah. If you go back to the Bible, women are called whores throughout the Bible. They're termed as dangerous people or apt to turn people away from religion. There are even passages in the Bible of the Lord ordering women to be ripped into pieces because they're whores.
The 11th century sage Al-Ghazali, perhaps the most influential Muslim since Muhammad, described a woman's duties this way: she should stay at home and get on with her spinning. She should not go out often. She must not be well informed, nor must she be communicative with her neighbors, and only visit them when absolutely necessary. She should take care of her husband and respect him in his presence and in his absence and seek to satisfy him in everything. She must not leave the house without his permission, and if given his permission, she must leave surreptitiously. She should put on old clothes and take the deserted streets and alleys, avoid markets, make sure that a stranger does not hear her voice or recognize her. She must not speak to a friend of her husband's even in need. Her sole worry should be her virtue, her home as well as her prayers and her fast. If a friend of her husband calls when the latter is absent, she must not open the door nor reply to him in order to safeguard her and her husband's honor. She should accept what her husband gives her as sufficient sexual needs at any moment. She should be clean and ready to satisfy her husband's sexual needs at any moment. Now recall the blissful lives of women in Afghanistan under the Taliban, or think about the millions of women who even now are forced to wear the veil under Islam, or who are forced into these forced marriages with men they have never met. And you will realize that these kinds of religious opinions have consequences. The net effect of religion, especially in the Abrahamic tradition, has been to demonize female sexuality and portray women as morally and intellectually inferior to men. I mean, every woman, it is imagined, holds the honor of the men in her lives for ransom and is liable to tarnish it with a glance or destroy it outright through sexual indiscretion. In this context, rape is actually a crime that one man commits against another man. The woman is only shame's vehicle, and often culpably acquiescent, being all blandishments and guile and winking treachery.
In Iran, where I've been to all three axes of evil countries, by the way, I think I'm the only writer who can say that. You're not allowed to sentence a woman who is a virgin to death, even though she may have committed, in the eyes of the mullahs, a capital crime, perhaps by showing her hair too often or her limbs. She can't be sentenced to death. But religious law means she can be raped by the Revolutionary Guards and she's not a virgin anymore. And then they can kill her. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law used to be considered the motto of Satanism, as I recall. Divine permission given to people who think they have God on their side enables actions that a normal, morally normal unbeliever would not contemplate.
In the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy 22, God says that if a woman doesn't scream loudly enough while being raped, she should be stoned to death as an accessory to her own defilement.
It's obvious that the alpha male God of this book reflects the fears, the ignorance, the territorialism, the arrogance of the patriarchal Israelites who wanted to preserve their property, including their wives and their slaves. The God they invented is an abusive husband who controls his wife, the Israelites, with threats and with violence. It's in the Bible. God is a misogynist. Look at Jeremiah 13, for example. When the Israelites were asking, why are the Babylonians invading and killing and raping their women? God replied, here's why. It's for the greatness of your iniquity that your skirts are lifted up and you are raped or violated, some verses say. Because you have forgotten me and trusted in lies, I myself will lift up your skirts over your face. God, by his own words, is a rapist. Literally or metaphorically, this is really a horrible thing to say. Isaiah wrote, the Lord will afflict with scabs the heads of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will lay bare their secret parts. This is sexual harassment in the Bible in order to humiliate and control women. What do you think about men who boast about groping women? What do you think about that? Is that praiseworthy? God is definitely not pro-life. Because she has rebelled against her God, their little ones shall be dashed in pieces and their pregnant women ripped open, God said. May the Lord cause you to become a curse among your people when he makes your wombs miscarry. God is cannibalistic. I will make your oppressors eat their own flesh. They will be drunk on their own blood. If you disobey me, you shall eat the flesh of your sons, and you shall eat the flesh of your daughters.
There's no escaping the view in the Bible and the Quran that women have been put on earth to serve men, to keep their homes in order, and to be incubators of sons. So I think this is a fact that really cannot be disputed. If we ever achieve a global civilization that truly values and honors the rights and capabilities of women, it will not be because we paid more attention to our holy books.